Okay, yeah. Hello everyone. Thank you, Nigel, for the introduction. As you can see, the title here and just now mentioned also, I'm going to be talking about some hows and whys of CTFs. And you can kind of not ignore, but don't take the subtitle too seriously. It's not something spooky. It might sound creepy, but yeah. Okay. Okay, a little more about me. Obviously, I like computers and I like to see how they work and like the everyday things you would do with a computer. I like to study under the hood what is happening. So that's how I got into my domain of focus, which is reverse engineering. And okay, so right. As you can hopefully tell by now, this talk is not going to be very formal. It's going to be a chilled talk. I'm going to walk you through what happened during diceCTF. And yeah, so some expectations. It's not going to tell you what is a CTF. This is already covered in a previous talk by also by our Grey Hats member, Akash. If you are interested, you can go to our YouTube channel. We have the recording uploaded there, and yeah, like and subscribe, the usual things. Also, I'm not going to tell you how to get good at CTFs, not going to or not even get good in general, because sadly, I'm not that great too. So if you think you are quite good and you want to give me advice, then can find me later. We can talk about life and all those things. The last one being how to get started with CTFs. This one, it's not my target topic, but you might be able to pick some message out from my talk, hopefully. So this one is up to personal interpretation. I'm going to leave that up to you. What this talk really is going to be about is how a CTF is played here at Grey Hats. So you can get an idea how the past two events we had, how did it go? And hopefully, not hopefully, but surely this will be sort of the same mode of how we play CTF together as a team. Also, I'm going to walk you through my sufferings of the past 2 days. And since this talk is only 45 minutes, but now I think I only have like 40 minutes left. So yeah, you're going to get a very condensed espresso shot of my pain. So yeah, stick with me. Okay, so CTF day. First thing to do is to wake up. And great depiction. I struggle to get out of bed because I'm very, very sleep deprived. I live on coffee. So yeah, but after that, I go to the club room and hang out with people. I find a challenge that I want to solve, and I go and think about it, and think about it, and think about it. And I think in various places, I think in the toilet, I go out for a walk, I just walk around. Yeah. And after that, sometimes idea sparks. I go to my laptop and I start typing something out. Google things, search things, try things out, and if you are in the computing field, you would know that nothing works for the first time. So back to thinking again. And this sort of cycle keeps repeating. And I usually get so tired. That I just go back to sleep, right? To this point, right, you might be wondering, okay, so what's the point of playing as a team, right? Everything seems like it can be done alone. It can be done in your room. Why do Grey Hats play together as a team? Great question. I have answers for you. Teamwork is about collaboration. And how we do that is mainly we use Discord, but we also have a note-taking platform that we use to take notes as we solve challenges. So when we tackle problems, we take down notes of things that works, things that don't work, things that might work, and things that we have looked into. So just to stay organized. One thing is to stay organized, to be efficient. The second thing is if someone wants to suddenly hop in halfway through the challenge, they can totally do that. They can just refer to this note and get a very quick start guide to get started with the challenge and yeah, help out. So this is what we do. We usually just collab and we like sort of bounce ideas back and forth until something clicks, right? As the saying goes, two brains are better than one, the more the better, right? So yeah, this is sort of overview as to how we play CTF, like how CTFs go in general. But as I said, I'm also going to bring you through my sufferings. So I'm going to walk you through a challenge that I personally find quite interesting, quite fun, and hopefully demonstrate to you how CTF could be painful, but also very rewarding at the end, because no pain, no gain, right? So this is the challenge I'm going to talk about. It's under the reverse engineering category. It's called type. Ignore the fact that the flag there is, it says solved. I took this picture after the competition, so yeah, ignore that part. Yeah, we can see that this challenge is about Rust. And if you don't know, Rust is a programming language, right? But unfortunately for me, I don't know Rust. Okay. Actually, now I would like to do some audience interaction. If you think you can code normally in Rust, or you know Rust enough, if I were to ask you some basic concepts about Rust, you can explain it quite clearly to me. If you think you are that kind of person, can you put a tick for me, or else you can put a cross so I can sort of like see. Okay, I see some crosses. Wow, wow, many crosses. Okay, no one knows Rust. Great. Because then you can get the full picture of my experience. Because right after this, right, the first thing I did was to quickly get started with Rust. And yeah, obviously this doesn't work lah. But it was quite fun, right? Rust in 100 seconds. Not a total waste of 100 seconds, but you know. So to move on with the challenge, right, I just downloaded the file and started to look at the challenge itself instead of pondering over why I didn't learn Rust earlier. And if you see the challenge there, it says, can you get my code to stop erroring? So that's sort of like hinting you where to start. So this code is obviously faulty, judging by the challenge description. So I wanted to just run it and see what kind of error it is. But upon compilation, it already failed. It already had a compilation error. What is this error though? This error is actually, to put it in simple terms, it is a type mismatch. So if you know your type languages, if your type is wrong, let's say you have a number, but you keep insisting that it is a string, the compiler will be very unhappy and it will not compile the thing for you. So yeah, that's basically what's happening. And that means if I can't even compile the code, I have to look at the code and figure out what is wrong. So looking at the code, you can see it doesn't really make sense, right? Particularly eye-catching terms like dice guys, tick gong gong, dang gong, tick gong, tick tick tick, dice guys, and dance gate. You know, these terms, although very eye-catchy, I told myself to just ignore them for now because remember, at this stage, I still know nothing about Rust. And my strategy was to learn Rust as I go. So I don't have to learn a bunch of like redundant stuff to solve this challenge. So looking at the keywords, right, these are reserved keywords in Rust. Like you can see trait, impl, which stands for implementation, and for and type, also phantom data, all those. So I wanted to know what these terms are. I have the keywords now, so I can just do a Google search and study what these are, how they work. I'm going to give you a quick walkthrough because it's actually not a difficult concept, but it did take me around half an hour to an hour. But in very high level overview is that in Rust, we have a bunch of types. And then each type can have different traits. Right? You have trait A, trait B, and trait C. Traits describe how what a type can do and what they contain. But under the hood, right, it might have an implementation, which is kind of like the low-level stuff. It's not just a description. But you might think, why separate the implementation from the trait itself? Why not just put it together, right? This is because Rust also supports multiple types to have the same traits, but have different implementation. So it's like a weird design choice, but I'm not in the position to judge that because I can't even write my own programming language. So yeah, now that you have a brief overview of how these things relate together, we can start to read the code and try to figure out what it means, try to figure out the syntax at least. So looking at this block, right, you can read it as an implementation of a trait for a type. So quite easy, right? If you're wondering what this is, if you have done Java programming, it's what you call a generic type, which is basically saying any kind of type, it will match. So that type is assigned to dice guys. That's the sort of like the parameter. And yeah, it references to this one that gets assigned to Dick Gong. And again, it still doesn't make sense, the words. So yeah, that was quite a bit of Rust tutorial. But so let's take a break and ask myself, why am I doing this? Why am I suddenly teaching you Rust? Or even why am I learning Rust? That brings me to sort of like the first point of the whys in CTF. It is that you always get to learn something that if you don't actually actively go and search it, you won't suddenly wake up and think, yeah, today I want to learn this. Who just sleeps and then wakes up and say, yeah, today I'm going to learn Rust. No, that doesn't work like that. So I feel like CTF gives you an excuse, or in better terms, gives you a reason, a motivation to learn things that you will otherwise not. And I believe that these things, although if you learn it, it's not going to be very complete, but down the road, it's going to serve some purpose, or even just serves as an introduction to the various concepts and various keywords to Google the next time you need it. And yeah, also as of now, since I've solved this challenge, I can probably put on my resume and say that I'm quite proficient in Rust. Yeah. Please don't do that. That was sort of a joke, but yeah, the point being, it's quite useful, this knowledge. So getting back to the actual program, again, it doesn't make sense. The words, even though we have understood the traits and the implementations, but we still don't know what it is trying to do. So the next thing is to rename the variables to make sense of the code. I can give you a sneak peek of how it looks like in the end. And you can see it is much more readable, hopefully, compared to the previous one. Take a minute, look at it. But I just want you to know that this is definitely not the first iteration. Right? No one just goes and looks, oh, yeah, I know this. I'll just rename it to that. Doesn't work like that. And as I said, I'm bringing you in a first-person perspective of the pain that I went through. So I'm going to see you a real version of the first iteration that I had. And I'm going to show you how I transformed this to this. Right. If you look at my first iteration, although it's sort of like organized, it still doesn't make sense. So how did I make sense of a code that is totally foreign to me? Right. Before we actually dive into it, just take note of two terms. It's going to come up later. You don't have to fully understand what it does, but the first thing is phantom. A phantom, you can sort of think of it as a box or a container. so it can hold stuff inside. A phantom can have something contained inside. The other thing is DG. Just remember the name. It doesn't really have a meaning. You don't have to understand what DG stands for. So, okay, looking at the first group, the first section, remember I said traits have implementation. So this is sort of like the first block. There's a trait A, and then there are two implementations for trait A. You can see here, again, we have the generic, the type parameter, which stands for all types. So we know that trait A, at least the first implementation, is implemented for all the types. So I started to play. I used the one type that I had, which is DG, and I tried to apply it. And as you can see here, T is assigned to the phantom count, which is the type itself. T is the type itself. So here you have DG, and also I tried later on phantom DG. What it's going to do is it's going to assign the same exact thing to phantom count. All right. Hopefully you are still with me, because we are moving on to the next implementation. Here you can see sort of like a recursion. So you can see the trait A, this implementation, inside of it, there's also a reference to trait A. And remember, this implementation is also applied to all types. So it's going to sort of like recursively apply. So using like your, if you have learned basic programming before, hopefully you have learned the term recursion. Yes, use that here. Recursion to sort of unwrap what the things are, what the code is trying to do. So you can see here, you have the DG sort of like being put inside the phantom. I'm going to just walk you through, not line by line, but just walk you through what the end goal of this implementation is at the end result. Because yeah, if you actually go and do it, it's doable. It's just recursion. And trying the second example, if I use phantom DG, again, it's just putting that green part into the white part inside the other angle brackets here. So there's sort of like an addition of the phantom layers. So addition and also recursion. And remember, I said that I was playing with Grey Hats. We were playing as a team. So as a team, after finding something, I want to let my teammates know. I want to let them know and try to find someone to help me, because this is painful. And so I went on Discord, because our medium of communication is Discord. I asked, hey, who wants to do this with me? I'm doing the notes on CodeDMD, which is our platform now. And then no one replied. But it's okay. It was a Sunday afternoon, 5 p.m. You know, Sunday people have better things to do, and I also had better things to do, which is to take notes. And you can see I was being very excessive with the sort of math-like notation. Just know that it is totally unnecessary, and I was going very overboard because I was trying to have fun. Right? But why math? Why the sudden change in pace? Suddenly went from programming to math. What's the correlation here? If we look at just this part, right, you can see the words trait A, trait B, and trait C. Trait A we looked at just now. Trait B and trait C, if you apply the same recursion technique, which I did, you can find out that actually, remember, trait A is addition of the layers, trait B is multiplication, and trait C is subtraction. So okay, that was a lot. So sudden break time again. Same question, why am I doing this? Why am I doing math now? The thing is, if you, like, judging from the 3 different operations, they sort of hint you to mathematical operations and numbers. So if you abstract the phantom layers as numbers, like DG being no phantom layer, which is 0, and then 1 layer is 1, 3 layer is 3, so on and so forth. Then you can start to make sense of why I have this final renaming scheme. And hopefully now you can see how I went from total nonsense, structured it a bit, and then made sense of it. So what's next? this is getting me nowhere closer to the solution. If you know CTFs, CTFs are about getting the flag. The flag is the end goal that we want to achieve. But there's no sign of flag here. So I started to wonder, why am I renaming all these if I don't know the end goal? So I looked at the bottom and I found this. Yes, we found the thing that prints the flag, but the problem is the line after it is where the error happens. And the error is due to the type called dance guys. So we have to solve this somehow. We have to fix this. And dance guys is related to dance gong, and dance gong is related to dang gong, and dang gong, not dang gong, but dance gong is related to dang guys. Okay, you can see after all that naming and making sense of the program, we are still nowhere close because it is still total nonsense around this portion of the code. And also notice this diceCTF. I'm going to do a big review. And by big, I mean really, really big. This is diceCTF. And we can see traces of the flag highlighted in yellow, which we know we are close. But looking at this, it's a total monstrosity. But hey, I saw traces of the flag, so I continued to look. I saw that, okay, flags are also just types, and they correspond to characters, which made sense, right? Each of the character somehow, judging from how CTFs work, we need to find the correct flag, which means we need to find the correct combination of characters to somehow go through all the magic we had just now and have no error in the end. But what is this magic? First, we need to understand what the characters are. Jumping around the program again, you can see at the top, I've renamed two more variables. The 1, 10, 0, and all those, they are from earlier. So hopefully you still remember them. And from the abstraction that we had, by treating it as just numbers and multiplication, we can have tens and hundreds. And from this, right, you can see the characters, they are basically just numbers. If you see the type, car, whatever, they correspond to numbers, right? You have 10 multiplied by 2 and then add 0, which is 20 and stuff like that. So this mapping of character to number, this is what I found, and sort of it is like the checkpoint of where I need to work on. But before that, there was quite a bit of stuff. So again, I want to take a break and ask, why am I doing this? Why am I suddenly sort of like I said earlier, I'm not going to treat this as a walkthrough. I'm not going to walk you through the solution. I'm just going to walk you through the pain. Why am I suddenly doing this? It's because actually, yeah, I shouldn't be doing this. So later on, I'm going to just give you a very high level overview of how I solve it, just to give you an ending to this all. Hopefully the part before this already inflicted enough pain such that you can understand 10% of what I've experienced. Okay, jokes aside, let's just get on to finishing this. Right, the big review, the big block that we saw, which is diceCTF or diceCTF, I forgot the name, but the big block, the scary block, is actually a data structure that looks like this. And if you have done some sort of, okay, and it ends with a sort of null stuff. It's not really named null, but it acts like a null. If you have done Lisp, it is what you know, what people know as cons, which is, yeah, but I didn't know about Lisp before solving this. So actually, I heard it from our CS. People should know CS 101S. There's a thing called list and pair, which is exactly the same thing. It is basically a bunch of pairs within pairs and ends with a null. So what are these? The elements inside this list are the constraints to the flag character, and they sort of look like this, right? After renaming it to pair, because that's what we know, right? So after renaming it and looking at it like this, sort of makes sense. Okay, we have two flag components and then a number. But the number, right? The number is just the abstraction that we had. There were no actual numbers inside, but hopefully the abstraction that we went through together, yeah, you still remember, that's how I got the numbers. But in reality, the thing was much longer. I don't think you can even see it very clearly. The constructs is very low. So, but just know that I clicked through 1,000 lines, I added line breaks, and I clicked the enter key 1,000 times, and my pinky almost broke. So, natural question is, why am I doing this? Why am I hurting myself just to solve this challenge? Well, I mean, there's actually no real reason to doing that, because to solve this challenge, you actually don't need to do that. So I also don't know why I did that. That's a very good question I need to ask myself. Okay, moving on to the real final part. Just follow me, right? This part, you don't have to know why, but for now, you don't have to know why. If you want the full version, we can get with that later. But this part, then guys, what it does is it removes every third condition from the list. And then the remaining ones are the ones that we need to check. But what are these E's, like the E2 and E3s? Remember the addition, multiplication, and subtraction? It's coming back. It's sort of related in a long-winded way, but again, no details. So just know that it is the same thing. So E3 is just like just now the third operation, which is subtraction, the trait C. Yeah, this is basically doing subtraction and checking if it's equal to 18. And so we just need to gather everything and put it into Python and Z3 to solve for the flag. So you can see this challenge, if you just look at the end, it's just solving a bunch of equations. And if you are hardcore enough, you can do it by hand. But why is this challenge then so interesting? Why did I pick this challenge? It's because if you actually go and study traits and implementation, it's actually not part of Rust's logic. It's actually just type definitions. And being able to write recursion and writing logic, arithmetic within just the type definition. And by type definition, it is something that the compiler takes away from the program at the end of compilation. So when you run it, it has nothing to do. But by using the compilation, the compiler's check routine as a sort of way to run a program, it's sort of like, wow, this is something I've never seen before. So it was just kind of inspiring in a sense. But the better question is, why did I pick this CTF in particular? Actually, if I have a blog site where I post my write-ups, the first ever write-up I've posted is also for diceCTF. It's for last year's diceCTF. And yeah, I've come one full year round of doing CTFs and doing write-ups. So this diceCTF sort of has a special place in my heart. Speaking about my blog site, if you're interested in trying out the challenge as a whole, because I've kind of rushed through the last part in the interest of time. So if you want to try it out, go and check out my blog site. I have the full write-up. It is a step-by-step guide of how I discovered all the flag constraints, how they all put together. It's not like I'm not going to tell you to press enter at which line, but it's enough to give you a very well step-by-step walkthrough of the challenge, and you can find the source code there. Yeah, but CTFs, okay, solving challenges, long day, but CTFs as a team is not just about solving challenges, it's also about having great food, okay? And I absolutely love the Thai chicken thing, Tom Yum chicken, yeah, Tom Yum chicken, very nice. And also just meeting people. And I said CTF is not just about solving challenge, and you see me in the middle there solving challenges. It's just so happened that I was looking at my monitor, but do know that I do talk with people. Yeah, we rush the whiteboard sometimes and discuss. So yeah, if you are interested and you want to try it out, perhaps meet a few people, have some great food, learn a thing or two, then can join us on Discord by sending an email to this email address, and we will reply you with the invite link. But that is all from me. Thank you very much for your time. Hopefully you've enjoyed it and learned something. Yeah, thank you. Any questions?
David, I got one question.
Okay.
Is it accurate to say that traits is interfaces and then the IMPL is the definition?
I think I've seen this kind of analogy somewhere, but I've also seen people say that it's not exactly the same thing because interface, I believe you're taking from Java or other object-oriented programming languages. But Rust itself is not in the same programming paradigm. So it's sort of like a syntactic sugar to have the same effect. But by saying it's an interface, sort of like it will trigger some people. But
Okay.
yeah, you can definitely treat it like that. I don't mind.
Okay, can.
Yes, we definitely do a lot of challenges with Batman soundtrack. We like to sound epic.
Do you usually play something like this kind of CTF, or have you ever played the one like the Hack the Box?
Hack the box. Hack the box. By Hack the box, actually I played in Hack the Box once, but it feels kind of similar to this. So I'm not sure if I'm playing the right Hack the Box.
Oh, I mean
Actually,
like hacking the VMs.
those things are more towards pen testing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but uh, at least for myself, I don't play them that much. I'm more towards like the Jeopardy style CTFs, which we play
Oh,
for fun. But yes, some members do play. We have members who are very interested in pen testing, more so than CTFs are. But yeah, I personally don't do it. So hopefully that answers your question. Okay, any other ones? Okay. Seems like no more questions.